my basics are that I just don't want to fail. Like, survival is my only continuous effort.
It's a very, very personal question and I don't know how you will take it. थोड़ा तो stammering का issue था पहले.
अभी भी है. I had to mentally prepare myself to do this. InfoEdge had given us the first round of funding and somebody pointed out कि अभी तक तो ये बच्चे थे, तो अभी since first round हो गया है, eBay will come after them. So let's just switch the name because we are early enough in our like journey. And then we looked for names which were available to buy. Zomato was one of them. People ask me, अच्छा Zomato का 10-year out vision क्या है?
So how was your meeting with Sanjeev? How was it? Tell us. What are the questions he asked you?
I think the one thing about Sanjeev and his team is that they do their ref checks really well before. So I think they had already done their work. I think he had all the math done in his head, yeah. And I go there, he said, "Are you raising money?" And I said, "Yes." कितने पे क्या चाहिए? I said, इतने पे ये चाहिए. I asked like, I said $1.5 million pre, $500,000 fundraise.
Okay.
25% for $500,000. कहता, I'll give you $1 million for one third of the company. Then and there, this is 2 and 4.
Then
happening, and then he looks at me, like I'm looking at you right now. So like, बताओ.
I can imagine Sanjeev saying like that.
What do you think? Yes or no? Sanjeev, couple of minutes. Okay. And
in that moment.
And then he continues looking at me. And I said, okay, fine, let's do it.
Really?
Yeah. And then the deal was done. This was, I think, 7-8 like minutes.
No. You tell me, how did you say, let's do it? उस moment में कैसे decision लिया?
मेरे को 25 और 33 में क्या फर्क है?
आपने मांगा जो था.
Company is worthless.
नहीं. At that
in
moment.
hindsight,
Yes.
Whatever. Like at that time.
Yeah.
Somebody's giving me $1 million for 33, $500,000 for 25. I think $1 million is a pretty good deal for 33% of the company. I said, cool, let's do it. And from like InfoEdge as well. So I think that was also the thing. I would have probably not taken that deal from a VC, from a standard VC. I think life, whenever it changes, it changes in like seconds. So for the good or for the worse, right? So so moments are like this. So if there are prolonged periods of stress, then it's on you. Because you are overthinking that stress, and if there are prolonged periods of happiness, even then it's on you because you're not digging hard enough to understand what might be wrong. I think staying like neutral, not too happy, not too sad, reality mein rehna is the key.
If I could now switch and ask you a question, it's a very, very personal question and I don't know how you will take it. But I've known you and I've interacted with you over the years. थोड़ा तो stammering का issue था पहले. अभी भी है.
अभी कर तो रहा हूँ स्टैमर, दिखा नहीं.
उतना ज़्यादा नहीं दिख रहा है. I'm enjoying the conversation. इतने सारे स्टोरी सुन रहे हैं पहली बार. Conscious हो जाते हैं कि हम में कुछ कमी है या अलग है. How have you dealt with something like this?
अभी भी होता हूँ conscious and it makes me nervous still. I had to mentally prepare myself to do this. It wasn't a straight up walk in and chill and do this. So because it takes a lot of effort from me. तो calories लगती हैं मेरे को ये सब करने में because stammer. तो
and this was since childhood.
Since childhood. Now I am at a point here, bro, you don't have a choice. So show up and do what you need to do.
But do you avoid a lot of over the years? If you had to look back, have you avoided? Because I've seen बहुत सारा stage presence नहीं किया आपने over the years. You've not been at events. You've not done interviews.
Just one reason.
Because of this? लोग कहते हैं arrogance है.
Just this reason.
Do you do something to overcome this thing in your mind?
Can't do much about it. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with how calm I am. So if I'm speaking slowly, I'll be fine. I like, know that. There are a couple of syllables which I get stuck at. uh, so I consciously try to avoid those while I'm talking, and there's years of practice doing that as well. तो बच जाता हूँ more or less. But
You just have to smile.
calories लगती हैं. Pankaj and I both used to stammer, man.
Oh, Pankaj also.
हाँ.
Pankaj I have not
Yeah,
interacted with.
Pankaj and I both used to stammer, so both of us used to stammer. So none of us were like कि तू जा stage पे, नहीं तू जा stage पे. So हम नहीं जा रहे stage पे, करो काम बैठ.
You know, but I used to feel कितनी बार that I had called you, you know, for this event X months, and you'll say हाँ, and I'll think कि क्यों नहीं? Why is Deepinder not speaking?
Physical manifestation. I actually fall sick when I say yes to these things. So the fear, right? So my body reacts in such a way so that कितनी बार कॉल सिक किया मैंने आपको?
बहुत बार.
2-3 बार किया होगा ना, हाँ बोल के. वो फिजिकल मैनिफेस्टेशन ऑफ माई फियर है. इट मेक्स मी फॉल सिक 2 days बिफोर बिकॉज आई एम नर्वस.
I can't thank you enough for sharing this because मुझे लग रहा है कि बहुत लोग को बहुत सालों तक हेल्प होगा.
Nobody's ever asked me this.
Today I want to understand because आदमी goes through ups and downs and you've talked about this, but वो जो अंदर वाला strength है वो कैसे, वो हमेशा था, कैसे डेवलप किया, क्या क्या किया?
I don't think there is any such thing as कि strength कहाँ से आया है या develop कहाँ से किया है, right? या आपके अंदर है. I think you have to, or at least I have to develop that strength afresh whenever it's called for.
Yeah.
तो
Oh, okay.
ये रीढ़ की हड्डी वाली बात नहीं है. उस टाइम आई हैव टू ग्रो ए बोन to
That moment.
that moment
And every moment.
and every moment whenever it is actually required. Yeah, it's hard. Everybody is wired to take the easier path all the time. Every time you take the harder path, you make a conscious choice in each and every single choice that you make, right? And that takes effort, that takes a lot of that takes a lot of grounding. I have a decent, I think, sense of morality which comes from my parents. I think कि यार ये सही है, ये नहीं है, right? So when you actually combine that with I have nothing to lose.
Zomato एक अलग ढंग से भी अपने आप को एज अ कंपनी बिल्ड किया है जहाँ पे लोग में हाई सेंस ऑफ ओनरशिप है. What are some of the things you've done to ensure it is built like an institution?
So I think couple of things. Na, I am very anti-process as a person. I think culture can easily beat process, and process makes an organization get stuck, and culture can make an organization agile enough to adapt and change however or wherever it wants to go. So we're very very culture driven कि यार culture solve करो, सब कुछ अपने आप solve हो जाएगा. तो I think over the last few months literally, I mean, culture has become front end like center for all of us. And now we're getting the same mojo back in terms of people and how connected they feel to the organization. And I mean, one of the things which is important, there are a lot of people, not all, I would not say it for everybody, but a lot of people don't say कि मुझे ऑफिस जाना है. They say मैं ना actually स्कूल जा रहा हूँ. So Zomato is school for a lot of people because it actually surprises you every single day, and there's a lot to learn every day. So, and if you don't go in with the mindset of learning, then you're going to be watching other people do the job or other people do the work.
अगर मुझे पूछना हो प्रैक्टिकली कि कल्चर होता कैसे, बनता कैसे है Zomato टाइप का?
I think couple of principles. I don't treat people as kids. Adult time, काम करो, you know what to do best. and there's a rule inside the organization. There's this कि Deepi ने बोला है is banned.
When did you ban this?
Couple of years ago. It still happens. Like it's such a hard thing to fight. But it's like यार मैंने जो बोला है that doesn't like necessarily mean I'm right? So you are the expert in the area that you work on. So you have to decide what is right and work and make sure that outcomes are in. So treat people as adults, give them hard goals, like super hard goals, and goals to the point where at the onset we know कि होने वाले नहीं है.
ये शुरू
ठीक
से
है, ये शुरू से है. तो at the onset we know कि होने वाले नहीं है, and it takes a bit of time for new folks who come into the organization to actually adjust to this mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because people are so used to setting a goal, meeting that goal, setting a goal, meeting that goal. Here we are like, okay, the goals are 10x, ये 20x 10x goals हैं, impossible goals हैं, no chance होने वाले हैं. We know it at the onset कि this is not happening, but there is a thinking backwards from those goals, right? The process of it is the fun part of it, right? So it would be surprising, it is like actually surprising for people to know Zomato doesn't have any annual operating plans, AOPs. We don't have quarterly goals. We have zero
really
forward looking agenda on इतने ऑर्डर करेंगे, इतना रेवेन्यू करेंगे, इतना कॉस्ट आएगा, जीरो, जिल्च.
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जब ग्रो कर रहा है तो हाउ आर यू अलाइनिंग?
बेस्ट एफर्ट बेसिस, एडल्ट ट्रीट करो लोगों को. We don't have any like if then compensation methods. If then means कि अगर आपने ये किया तो आपको ये चीज़ मिलेगी, जीरो. We have zero bonuses for anyone. ठीक है, मुझे लगता है अगर आप अपने 10% 20% सैलरी के पेचेक के लिए एक्स्ट्रा काम करोगे तो मुझे नहीं चाहिए आप यहाँ पे. Correct? If the 10% extra compensation of your bonus will make you do better, why are you here?
Yeah.
Great work should be the baseline yaar. We'll like compensate you well, but please don't get me to a point of setting a goal, trying to negotiate with you on that goal कि क्या होना क्या चाहिए और उसके बदले में मिलेगा क्या. It's like यार अच्छा काम कर लो शांति से.
तो हायरिंग प्रोसेस डिफरेंट है, अलग है?
Hiring process is actually very different. We do not tell people the role that they will do when they come in the organization.
Interesting.
So we have zero idea what people will do when they walk in.
And what is a no for you? Like in terms of hiring, कि अगर कोई designation मांग रहा हो?
I think context is king here, right? So depending on the person in front of you will make adjustments to these things.
Okay.
Correct. So if the person doesn't have a designation to begin with in their current organization and they are asking for it, then it's like क्या कर रहे हो? Now if you're hiring an ex-CEO or a current CEO of an organization, इसलिए कम से कम COO तो दे दो, तो मतलब बनता है उतना तो, right? But nowadays we have actually even moved away from that. We're saying कि यार ना हम टाइटल दे रहे हैं ना हम रोल दे रहे हैं, कंप्लीट ब्लैंक स्लेट है. You come into the organization. So basically we say we hire for the organization, we don't hire for a role. ठीक है, and then people come in, they would shadow people इधर उधर. So then they figure out on their own यार. People define their own jobs nowadays. I don't tell them this is the role, this is what you need to do.
अगर अभी आपको बोलना है एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को कि जो बना रहे हैं कंपनीज की, अगर उनको इनकलकेट करना है, एक दो चीज क्या कर सकते हैं?
यार I empathize with the founders of today. क्या बेचारों के पास टाइम नहीं है. I got 8-10 years of practice. Zomato was on its own, competition नहीं है, कोई pressure नहीं है, for what 8-9 years, 2008 to 2015-16 maybe 8 years, है ना? तो we got a lot of practice. हमारी net practice बहुत हुई है. Prove it to the team that this works. अब अगर कोई न्यू फाउंडर आके बोले कि यार मैं इफ देन कॉम्पनसेशन नहीं करूँगा, मैं नाउ दैट करूँगा, ट्रस्ट करो मुझे, पीपल विल लाइक डूड हु आर यू, क्यों करूँ मैं ट्रस्ट तेरे को. नाउ वी गो आउट एंड से हियर इज हिस्ट्री.
And
Track
175
record
people
देखो,
have stayed.
track record
Yeah,
देखो.
yeah.
There is so much trust. We have never let down anybody when it comes to trust. So there is no reason for you to not trust us. These things do take time. Like there is absolutely no way for anybody to build this in a shorter period of time.
You know, when you're answering this, I'm thinking of Tata's. It takes a lot of time. Tata's are still regarded as company which takes care of its employees.
अब फ्री लंचेस देखे नहीं होता है कुछ ये. कल्चर इज अबाउट ट्रस्ट, एम्पावरमेंट.
लेकिन बहुत फंडेड कंपनीज बहुत ट्रबल क्रिएट किए हैं स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम में, क्योंकि वो बहुत सारे गिफ्ट, बहुत लोग बाइक्स देते हैं, बहुत लोग टूर्स ट्रैवल्स देते हैं, हॉलीडेज देते हैं, फ्री लंचेस देते हैं. व्हाट डू यू हैव टू से अबाउट दैट?
We happily let go of those folks here. We don't want those. I mean, anybody who values those things over and above what we offer, we don't want them here. So that's why, as an employer brand, we are a slightly uptight employer brand. कि हाँ, we work hard, मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, this is a tough culture, blah blah blah. We say it out loud. मैंने अभी LinkedIn पे पोस्ट डाला था. I said 24/7. It was intentional. Now, anybody in their right sense of mind would, like, I know 24/7 is not even possible. Like, it's physically not possible. You have to sleep now, है ना? You have to go take a shower. ये सब तो करना ही करना है. Beyond everything else that you also need to do, 24/7 is not possible. And people are just going on and on about 24/7. Now, we got a lot of applications from that LinkedIn post. There are people who actually got what we said. And then there was the 90% people who just did not get what we said. And they didn't even send us their CVs or emails. Great, it saved us time.
मुझे लगा आईपीओ के बाद यू विल चिल अ लिटिल बिट. अभी तो आप एकदम अरीना में. इट्स लाइक डे वन टाइप से यू आर प्लेइंग द गेम.
I did chill
How
a little
long?
bit. And then I figured out that it's going to be the end of the organization if I start chilling. And it's not a reflection on me or how like important I am to the organization. It was a very fundamental aha for me at that time. देखो, अगर मैं चिल मारने लग गया अभी, which I did for a few months, ठीक है, the aspiration of everybody inside the company is going to become कि chill मारना है. I have to make it to be able to chill. That becomes the goal. Now you can chill whether you're making 1 lakh a month or you're making 10 lakh a month or you're making 50 lakh a month. Correct?
Yeah.
Chill has got nothing to do with how much money you have in the bank. Chill has got to do with the state of your mind. So I noticed when I started chilling for a bit now, everybody started chilling. I was like, buddy, this is not going to work. Either you quit if you want to chill. And chill also, I'm not saying कि यार I'm not going to work. Chill is about like अच्छा ठीक है, मतलब हफ्ते में एक वीकेंड ट्रैवल कर लिया, सॉरी महीने में एक वीकेंड ट्रैवल कर लिया, ठीक है, किस एंड मतलब मे बी गो टू द जिम एट 6:30 in the evening instead of 8 p.m. Right, like that's what I'm talking about fringes here. I'm not talking too much कि अच्छा मैं बिल्कुल ही I have checked out. There's no like checking out. I'm talking about chilling on the fringes, and it just completely changes the narrative inside the organization. I said like it's not happening. I actually committed to myself, first person in the office, always last person to leave for the rest of my life period.
हर डिस्कशन में हो रहे वो इंडियन स्टार्टअप्स आर नॉट गिविंग एन एग्जिट, लिक्विडिटी नहीं है इंडियन स्टार्टअप्स में, आईपीओ नहीं है, एंड आई थिंक जोमेटो वाज द फ्रंट रनर टू मेक दैट हैपन.
I think we're almost always the first one to do something good or bad here. So let's actually segregate two things: me wanting to quit versus why I want to quit. I've never wanted to quit, think, yaar, hey, I have done enough, I can chill now, and so on and so on. Okay, that's never been the reason. Whenever I wanted to quit, it's been of other factors completely outside of work, like personal life. Like if my personal life is wearing me down, and if I am being stretched in two different directions, right? कि अच्छा ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है, time नहीं है, this is also priority, so on and so on. That's when the thought has crossed my mind. But it's never come from a place of या कि हो गया, अराइव वाली फीलिंग नहीं आती है मुझे.
You mentioned in your note after the IPO, and you also recognize Swiggy that we are building, and then the great work that they're doing. I thought ek hota na, we talk about in World Cup ki how Japan conducted itself. I somehow thought it was that moment where an entrepreneur conducted himself so well, and I want you to talk about it. Was it, what prompted you to do that?
I think Indian internet में ना Zomato and Swiggy are the two best companies out there, and we are cursed to be in the same sector. But having said that, the thing that makes both these companies the best is like each other. तो अगर वो नहीं होते तो हम नहीं होते, अगर हम नहीं होते तो वो नहीं होते. That's a given. Harsha also would actually acknowledge that we make them a lot better than what they would have been if we were not there, and that's true for us as well. तो मतलब credit where it's due यार, like we would not have been the Zomato that you see today if Swiggy wasn't there, and Swiggy would not have been the Swiggy that it is today if Zomato would not have been.
Yeah, but there's a very big lesson over here. What you're saying is that competition also makes you better.
Healthy competition makes you better. So I think that way the ethos of both these companies are fairly clean. They're good. We actually compete very well. We used to hear these stories about these ride-hailing startups saying कि इसने उसके system में hack कर दिया, ये कर दिया. None of those things have ever happened here. We don't have to overthink about how the other competitor will harm us. Like we actually not even overthink. We don't even have to think. We know they won't.
Yeah.
Like
values के साथ बना है.
हाँ.
पैसे के साथ क्या relationship रहा है?
As much as I know myself until now, right? So I don't count money. I don't know how much equity I have at Zomato. I don't know how much money I have in the bank. I'm really like, I don't know.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure.
Really, really?
Very, very, very sure. Okay. And that's been the case when I had no money. Like that's been the same when I had no money, and that's right now as well. Okay. I have never taken a loan. Whatever I have, I'm cool, man. Like it doesn't matter कितना है क्या नहीं है. अगर है तो ठीक है, I'll spend it. Money is nice. Most of the cars I actually bought them at my lowest points in my life. So it was not a high point in my life too. मेरी like association with these cars is a low point in my life. It's not a high point in my life. इस वो होता है ना, then I mean sometimes people say कि अच्छा तुम्हारा midlife crisis चल रहा है तो तुम कुछ ऐसी चीज कर लेते हो. So मतलब if I'm enjoying my life, if I'm doing well ना, I would be at work. I would not be thinking about cars. And you know, it's a tough place to be in. I've given away so much of my money, like so much of the money I've made, right? So I've probably given away 4 to 5 times of what I have banked. I would actually give away this as well. But कभी कभी लगता है कभी in a moment of crisis जरूरत पड़ेगी तो रख ले. I think my relationship with money is just about अच्छा कि just have just enough so that when you are buying a air ticket for your family, you don't have to think twice, right? So वहाँ खत्म हो जाता है.
We benchmark ourselves कि उसके पास ये है, हम इतने साल में इतना अचीव किए नहीं. There is this thing that by 35 these days I hear when people want to retire with this much money. There's so much of conversation on internet. What is good amount of money?
The right amount of money is what you need, not what you want. Subjective answer.
Yeah.
So there's no right answer. And don't get me wrong. I like the money. ऐसा नहीं है कि enjoy नहीं करता हूँ मैं. Enjoy करता हूँ, of course. Like, but if you take it away, zero regrets, zero.
What's the worst that can happen?
Nothing. It just doesn't matter.
और इतना attention जो मिलता है, you get so much of attention.
I'm disconnected from that world. Yeah. I genuinely don't know. One of the things that I hate about going to a conference or anything is that. So, I mean, I would have gone to a conference maybe 5-6 times in my life. Okay. और जब when you're walking off the stage, a lot of people would come and say कि यार selfie लेनी है या है ना करना है. I say no to these selfies because each selfie that I take with somebody alters my state of ego state. होती है, correct? You're thinking,
ना भी
hey, I
चाह
have
के.
arrived. I have arrived. No matter how much you actually try to save yourself from it, every single selfie that you take boosts your ego a little, like tiny bit. It's a very bad state to be in. I just run away from those situations. कि मुझे नहीं लेनी सेल्फी बिकॉज मुझे अपनी ईगो स्टेट नॉर्मल पे रखनी है, जीरो पे रखनी है. People also think of it as arrogance, but that's what's going on in my background.
And so much of negative press also that you get sometimes. Does that affect you?
I think there's a way to rationalize it, the negative press. I think, as we said earlier, na, Zomato is a big brand. So, and not all businesses are brands. Even if they are larger than us, they may not be brands. So, Zomato gets clicks, man. Like positive news, negative news.
So criticism, and they have been, and for all the good that happened with the IPO, there have been questions, right? And I've seen so many media folks also question on the still business model, still the unit economics. How do you process all that? Or you just say that, nahi, chalo, focus on work?
No idea what's going on.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There was an article last couple of weeks ago saying Blinkit's pivot will not work because we announced home services mein Blinkit will do this. How is it a pivot? And they're saying the economics of quick commerce are not working and therefore Blinkit is doing home services. It's like, where did this come from? 90% of the stuff which is out there is baseless. It's people just like trying to get clicks. It's got nothing to do with the reality of the business. Absolutely no strand of it.
तो पहले तो अफेक्ट करता होगा ना, ऐसा कैसे कि अफेक्ट नहीं करता है नेगेटिव criticism?
It used to.
It's unfair sometimes.
पहले करता था.
हाँ.
अब now I think this is the story we started telling ourselves finally. Here we are such a big brand. तो accidentally so. ठीक है. तो it like gets clicks. So people are going to like do this way or that way. We also get a lot of positive press. So there's
Yeah,
not.
of course,
so there's
of
no.
course.
So the pros just they balance the cons, or they probably outweigh the cons. Probably, I don't know. All the negative press, which is usually baseless, is just the cost of the brand that we are building.
Okay.
In the world that we actually live in right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's totally cool. मतलब होगा ही, क्या करेंगे? You can't protect it, you can't save it. The only way to save it is to kill the brand. Which is not cool, which is not the right thing to do. अंदाज अपना अपना में एक डायलॉग था, like some कि अगर लोग क्या सोचेंगे ये भी तुम भी सोचोगे तो लोग क्या सोचेंगे.
You know, शाहरुख खान एक बहुत अच्छा बात बोला था जो मुझे बहुत साल से बहुत पहले बोला था जो याद है. He said that you know there's so much of criticism and negativity anyways all around me or in the world that the closest people who are closest to me are people who, if I get up, even if I have the ugliest of face, they will say you look very good. And because बोला सब तो ऐसे ही negative बोलेंगे ही. So it's what I choose to hear. And I want to live my life where I decide what I choose to hear.
I don't resonate with that statement, if that's the statement that Shah Rukh made.
Not exactly, but yeah, on these
but
lines.
let's say
yeah,
that
yeah.
this is the statement,
Yeah.
but let's just take
Yeah.
away Shah Rukh from it, but let's say this is the big statement, right? So there are people who would almost always say negative things about you no matter what. They're not your friends. Okay. There are these people who would almost always say positive things about you, which is that you always look good, no matter how you look. They're not your friends, and I think they're even more like toxic than the ones who always say bad things about you. I think your best friends are the ones who tell you the reality of, hey, you look good, no, you look bad, no, you need to change. So I think वो reality वाले दोस्त, they are the best people.
आपके हैं?
So bucket ABC, everybody around you keeps shifting here, and their shifts from one bucket to the like other bucket is sometimes about how I am feeling, about my mindset, about the last conversation I had with them, about how their life is going. So many things.
Yeah.
चलती रहती है ये. Like sometimes people will go here, sometimes people will go here.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
just goes on and on.
I think health has been and fitness has been a theme with you, right?
I did not give a damn to health or fitness or food. I used to eat a lot. Overweight था मैं. So much so that my heels, my feet used to hurt with my.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
When was this?
7 years ago. Like, so,
No, but I have seen you getting fitter. That I have to say. Your photos to everything, real. Yeah.
I started getting like older and getting worse.
What have you done differently?
I think just make healthier food choices, and
Do you exercise every day?
I have my phases when I exercise every day, but I think fitness is got 80% to do with food and 20% to do with exercise. That's my reading. That's my personal experience of it. So I generally eat like protein and salads and fiber kind of, so I stay away from carbs. And Indian home cooked food is terrible when it comes to carbs. It's just like, so I have a glucose monitor as well and been on it for the last 2.5 years since Mohit Kumar started his ultra like human thing. So I was one of the first users to get hooked. So yeah, I think just like staying away from carbs has just been 90% of the job.
I was hearing that during pandemic and of course जो time थोड़ा जो वो बीच में था, but बहुत सारे young लोगों के लिए Zomato has become a de facto way of living and maybe in some way expressing who they are, their own individuality. It is a big responsibility, right?
I think we are increasingly moving towards a world where people don't even have kitchens at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even at my home, like we largely have a pantry. We don't have a kitchen because we're usually ordering food from the outside. And वो खाना बच जाता है तो फ्रिज में जाता है तो नेक्स्ट डे रात का खाना नेक्स्ट डे लंच में भी होता है, राइट? सो लाइक दैट्स हाउ लाइक आई जस्ट लाइक हेट वेस्टिंग फूड. आई थिंक द ओनली थिंग दैट I wish I was able to do more than building the right platform, having the right food choices, was to be able to tell people here, please make healthier food choices while you're at it. And it's not a Zomato versus home cooked food thing. It's actually within the Zomato system. Occasionally be healthier, right? Have your cheat days for sure. Like I also have a lot of cheat days, maybe thrice a week. But but yeah, but largely make healthier food choices. Stay away from carbs, like so stay away from sugar.
It's a very tough one. No, we didn't grow up like that.
We didn't grow up like that. It's a very tough one.
But you can have that responsibility, no? For younger people, Zomato could have something.
We're building these little features where when you order a naan, we nudge you to kiya roti le lo, naan kyun le rahe ho? Right? So we're building these small little things. So it's going to be a journey for us to do better food for everyone. Because right now people are, I mean, so see, when you're feeling low, understand that. है ना? Do you really want me to tell you कि यार नान नहीं तो रोटी ले लो?
अच्छे लोगों के
correct. You're going to say कि autonomy है मेरी, like I don't want you to be telling me any of this. सुनाओ मत अभी, right? Yeah. So I think that's the we don't know what to do here.
Feed India बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहा है.
Feeding India.
हाँ, Feeding India बहुत अच्छा, बहुत there lot of things that you did without being like a large institution from very early. अभी तो of course चलो बड़े हैं, मगर पहले से ये सब किया. Talk to us about that.
I think it was less about, like, I would not take credit for a lot of these things here. I think the team is good. अच्छे लोग हैं in our team. So
the Feeding India तो पहले से किया था ना?
पहले से किया था, but like the whole idea came from Neil, from Robin Hood Army, like who is the founder of Robin Hood Army, RHA. So he did this, and Anand, like they were both very key people here. So they started RHA. And they're doing it differently, but then like they actually inspired the people within to start something like this. We did not start something like this. We actually acquired an NGO, like as much as we could acquire an NGO. to build this out. So I think it all comes from the good hearts of the people who work at Z. And it drives culture as well. Um, I mean, it keeps people connected to the purpose and connected to the ground.
But it did a lot during the pandemic.
The pandemic was a tough time for us here. So we'd lost 90% of the business, and like कि ठीक है, अगर मरना ही है तो at least whatever we have left, let's serve our own team, the families, people as much as we can. So yeah, I think feeding India, what like at that time we brought about, like second wave की बात है, the feeding India, the entire team like really coordinated well. We raised a lot of cash as well. We put in a lot of our money behind it as well.
अभी भी because of the social construct or family construct, हम workplace की बात करते हैं, but still we don't have as many women, and even if they join, they somehow get left behind, or they themselves, or whatever जो भी reasons है, we can, of course, that's a subject in itself, पीछे रह जाते हैं. And I know that in Zomato, one of the things that you've done, and I want that to be called out, if you could talk about it, is that, you also have paternity leave, right? Like equal amount of paternity leave as for women, so that there is women come back, for men, ताकि women come back and there is an equal share. And there's and I thought that was a very unique thing, because not many organizations are still doing that.
I don't know the answer to this question yet. I am still trying to figure this out. So statistically, I've seen. I mean, Zomato is going through a phase where women who have done extremely well at Zomato have taken a year or sometimes more or less worth of a break, had kids, and now they're trying to get back into work. So, and this is an active conversation right now inside the organization. How do we make sure that they're settled well, they're able to do what they want to do, right, and so on and so on. As much as we want to, and I mean, we do these paternal leaves, blah blah blah, सब कुछ करते हैं, but we've not been able to crack it. ठीक है?
Yeah.
So I mean, we're working hard at it, but we're not been able to crack it, and sometimes it, and not even sometimes, probably all the times where it's not, we're not being able to make it work now. Factors outside of the organization's control have a lot to do with it. That's my feeling right now. So I'm not trying to externalize the problem to somebody else. I'm still looking, do we need to change? Do we need to do something better? And maybe we need to sensitize our own workforce towards how to work with moms returning back from work, returning back to work. But then मैं काफ़ी चीज़ें सोच रहे हैं, कर रहे हैं, like, but I'm not, like, we haven't cracked it yet, and sometimes it feels like women's families hold them back as well. So how do we solve that? Can we solve that? I don't know. Correct. And I think this thing that I came back to earlier, na, here, our strengths are very, very different. Na? You cannot bring the same style of working back to work after you become a mom. You have to do things differently, and you have to actually play to your strengths. You've been doing what the world has been asking you to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have really killed it. But life has changed. So I think that's where we are now trying to adjust the organization to kiya acha ramp up period. Different style of working. Do we bring coaches in? Coaches for the rest of the organization as well as moms returning from work. Correct. And I still don't know how to solve for the extra, like, ordinary amount of guilt that moms go through when they come back to work, leaving their kid at work, and kid at home. Like, ठीक है, we have a crash, we have everything. नहीं हो रहा वो solve अभी तक, वो guilt. And वो guilt is two-sided guilt. ठीक है, एक तो कि यार I am at an important role here, I am at an important role there. कहाँ जाऊँ? For women, it's so hard to draw a salary even, saying कि यार I am not bringing my best to work, and then they're not feeling good about themselves back at home as well. So this emotional conflict, I don't have an answer for it right now. I'm still trying to figure this out, but we need to crack this if we have to become a great organization at some point down the line.
I know it is not an easy conversation, but talking to me, talking about this is a very important thing that, and there is such an awareness within the company to figure this out, because nobody in the world has figured, everyone is figuring it out. But you are putting so much of thinking and effort, and things are happening, and that needs to be called out, because बहुत जगह awareness ही नहीं है, मतलब and care नहीं है,
किसी को भी नहीं है. So जैसे ये guilt वाला concept है ना, कि women struggle between these two things, the guilt of A and guilt of B.
yeah.
It was not natural for me to think of this. Okay, I actually consulted with somebody to get to this answer. Now, even the moms going through this did not know this, that oh, I am going through this.
Yeah.
So we have to piece it one by one, hearing from different places. अच्छा ये भी होता है, अच्छा ये भी होता है, अच्छा ऐसे भी होता है. Correct? And gradually we're trying to solve it.
But you know, it's important, and I just also want to call out that it's not just an India thing, because one
It's
of the
not
things,
just an Indian.
yeah, US में I was watching कि pandemic के बाद जो भी women workforce में थी वो आधा हो गया है.
It's a
US
human
में भी.
race problem. It's
Yeah,
a human race
it's a-
problem to
yes.
solve, and it's not an easy problem to solve. Is
It's
all
the
I'm
new,
saying.
हाँ.
ये ना intention, ये ना patriarchy driven वाला problem नहीं है. ये actually genetic biological problem है. ठीक है, जो हमें solve करनी है,
हाँ.
right? And all of us need to be on the same side to solve it. Like,
Yes.
And I think there are too many people blaming each other, and it's just too much negative energy around this.
Yeah, and so it doesn't move, because it just gets into
change
discussion.
anything.
Yeah.
हाँ, it doesn't change anything.
बहुत बड़े इंसान, not from the startup world, said, oh ये startup सब तो रैकेट हैं, फॉरेन से पैसा उठा रहे हैं और वैल्यूएशन बढ़ा रहे हैं और कंपनीज बना रहे हैं, and there's this school की that's the wrong way, or there is this bootstrap way, and that has been largely the narrative, that oh people are raising money, increasing valuation, founders are making money, और ये वो पता नहीं. What is the right way to build a business?
I think there's too much discussion around the world on the universal truth or the universal law. ठीक है, universal.
Man search for meaning.
देखो, universal law is for lackeys. Like it just doesn't work. Like context is for kings or queens, right? So, Star Trek में line थी ये, universal law is for lackeys, context is for kings. But so, and I think that's the answer to the question that you asked me. There's some businesses which need money to grow. Like you can't build them without having adequate capital. There's some businesses which are better off being built in a bootstrap fashion. So I think it's about the context of the business you are in, the kind of founder you are, right? So, and what really floats your boat. How did we get to a point where startups pay more than other companies? How? ये कैसे हो गया? Right? This is not supposed to happen, right? So, I mean, if you make it and you make a lot more money through the equity that a startup gives you, fair. But startup salaries are more than sometimes banking salaries nowadays.
But what you're saying is it's context and what you are building.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no one way of building it. क्योंकि ये बहुत quintessential debate होता है ना, और unicorns हैं, fundings, valuations. But some of the very good companies are also built with external capital, and some very phenomenal companies are bootstrapped.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Universal law is for lackeys. And there's this ongoing debate about what is the right thing.
Yeah.
There is no right thing. You have to say what could have been or what should be the right thing for this company, for this business. These universal A versus B questions are not, they have no answer. They have endless debates and people just saying the same thing over and over on both sides.
I know you have invested and you angel invest, but are you actively investing right now?
So I don't angel invest. Let me qualify that. I angel invest when somebody else asks me to. And so if a person I respect and I know that they like the founder or know the history of a founder, I would angel invest along with them. And in my head, I write that money off. For me, it's more to be able to stay connected with these founders because I think they're building cool stuff and I can learn from them. So my ROI from the money that I invest in a handful of these single digit startups only है, ज़्यादा नहीं होंगी, मतलब 6, 7, 8 होंगी. Don't have account. There is zero ledger or like जो चला गया वो चला गया.
So you don't have a family office
Zero,
maintaining all this?
nothing. If you ask me कौन सी company में कितना, it's like zero records. It's just happened one day and this money is gone and in my head it's gone. Just being able to connect with these founders and learn from them is enough ROI. I think a lot of these folks like teach me so many new things which I would otherwise not know.
Having said that, will we see you investing in companies? Because there will be so many young entrepreneurs who'd like you as more than an investor, as an advisor, as a mentor.
Advisors overrated, and to be very honest,
Please, Deepinder, you are in the trenches. You can help people so much.
I can.
Of course.
And people reach out. I think people don't need to raise money from me to be able to ask for help. WhatsApp कर दो, मेरा number मिलता है, search मारोगे मिल जाएगा. So like if you ask me a question which is simple enough to answer, I will answer. Like what is there to not answer? Would I go on a 1-hour Zoom call to do this? I would not even do this for my own team because I have my own work to do. So like everybody has to figure out their own stuff here. My team has to figure out their own stuff. Like so, and they have to research, they have to read their own books, they have to be committed to their own process of learning to be able to grow.
Deepinder, आज के डेट में अगर मैं पूछूं तो मैन सर्च फॉर मीनिंग एक मेरा बहुत फेवरेट बुक है विक्टर फ्रैंकल का. बार बार पढ़ती हूँ डिप्रेशन में. But
I've never been able to finish that book.
Why is such a small book?
Is it a small book?
It's a very thin book.
So?
Okay.
Each page is what a Bible.
Is कि मीनिंग आज मैं पूछूं दीपिंदर गोयल से कि लाइफ का मीनिंग क्या अभी तक जो जिया है, what has been meaning, what has been purpose, and how do you see that evolving now?
I've read that book, of course. I've not been able to finish it because one primary reason, I was not able to relate to it here. Okay, and let me qualify why. I think I don't have a destination in mind, right? So I don't know that, okay, this is what my life is for or this is what I'm supposed to do. Good, none of that going on in my head. The guiding principle of my life, the way I see it now, and it wasn't the case earlier or may not be the case in the future as well, is this phrase which I use, is that the more you walk, the more you see. And people ask me, अच्छा Zomato का 10-year out vision क्या है? I was like, I can come up with something. I get it. Okay? And I can like give you a sales pitch, but that's not me, right? I have no idea what Zomato is going to look like 10 years from now. The world is going to change. COVID aa gaya, ye ho gaya, wo gaya. Like how can you predict 10 years from now? So we're just always like one step after the other. One step after the other. Have your values in place. Maximize growth, maximize size, maximize profit. Like do all the good things and continue maximizing them and see where you land. One of the questions is like people ask me in interviews as well, like whenever, not these kind of, but like when hiring interviews, hey, when you started this organization, did you ever like imagine you would get here? I said, no chance. Even 2 years ago, I did not imagine that we would be here. Right? Okay? And I can't even imagine what would look like 2 years from now, because I think imagining or laying out a vision of what you can look like 2 years from now actually limits what you can really become 2 years from now. You will never go beyond that if you restrict to whatever vision, no matter how large or grand it might be, right? So I was like, yeah, the more you walk, the more you see. तो अभी ये कर रहे हैं, अभी यहाँ से यहाँ जाना है, और रास्ते में अगर समझ में आया कि ये ठीक जगह नहीं है जाने की, तो कहीं और चले जाएंगे. It's about the journey यार. It's not about a particular goal or destination. My glass is always like empty रहता है मेरा glass. तो कुछ भी डाल लो उसमें.
आदमी at the end of the day सब कुछ है साथ में, but there is a sense which you have to one deals with within their own minds, is a sense of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
I want to understand कैसे आदमी चल सकता है अकेला. Have you felt lonely over the years, and how do you look at that?
So many times, yeah, but I think, and that's an always on process, right? Because as humans, we are wired to continue seeking our tribe and and love, right? So and whenever like that gets taken away from you, you feel lonely. But I think what doesn't kill you makes you like stronger. So I think it's every sine curve ka bottom hit karna is a good thing as long as you come out of it. So terrible when you are feeling lonely is some expectation or a desire that you have from life, है ना?
Yeah.
Or you have ended up comparing your life to somebody else's life, and you have a certain image of how life should be.
Yeah.
So I think थोड़ा expectation reality mismatch के कारण it feels bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you just like kill the expectations part of it, then the reality is never that bad, yaar.
Deepinder, but amazing. Like, I don't know, I don't have words. You know, I'm paraphrasing what you only said. Is the quote is, the more you walk, the more you see. The more you have walked, the more a lot of young people in the country have seen, and you've made that possible by your walk. And I think somewhere we have to acknowledge that. And you can't say, abhi isko, you don't dismiss it. It's true.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and you've made that happen. And we are hoping that you walk more and more, so that we all get to see. India gets to see.
Thank you so much.